Welcome to coverage of Season 3 in the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series and the penultimate race from the Bristol Motor Speedway right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Happy to have you join us. An unfortunate circumstance that we were not able to bring you the first 78 laps of this race due to some technical difficulties on our end. However, we are all set to go, and we are sure to bring you coverage to the end of this race. And it was going to be exciting considering the fact that we were initially going to bring all the hype considering this is the second to last race of the season, and we've got a big battle for the playoffs on hand, and we'll show you the playoff grid right in the front of your screen. Nick Miller had locked himself in with a win just a couple of weeks back with his win at Auto Club Speedway. Parker White currently sits second in points with 2,046, and he should be good enough to lock himself into the championship into points. Meanwhile, battle for third and fourth on back is very sketchy at best. Aiden Kirker, Blaze McKinney tied for third in the point standings, with Cole Williams only 6 points shy of making that final cutoff transfer spot. Shania Mantova 11 points, and Glenn Bundren sitting minus 21 for those drivers to try and continue a championship hunt to Homestead next week. And unfortunately, it's been a wild 78 or so laps to open this race. As you can tell, a lot of drivers already with significant damage. Blaze McKinney was your pole sitter when we went green. The only problem was he had an incident right off of the green flag. He got set back on the field, has some damage right now, but currently sits back to the race seat. Sartaj Maan also with heavy damage, seeing him back in the series since, I believe, Las Vegas was one of the last times we saw him in this race, or at least in these races. Andy McDowell currently sits third. Aiden Murray fourth. Parker White currently rounding out your top five. Looking back, Benjamin Fanning making his start in the series after a long absence. Glenn Bundren, who is in that playoff hole, remember, needs a win to lock himself practically in the amount of drivers here tonight. He currently sits seventh. JJ Hill making a return to the series with a clean Toyota Camry, sits eighth. Cole Williams 6 points out. He is currently sitting at ninth. Josh Duke making his start after also a long time out. He will round out your top 10 so far with some damage on his race car. Currently, if you're talking about other drivers, Shania Mantova, playoff driver, currently sitting 13th on the racetrack with a lot of damage on his Toyota Camry. And Nick Miller, 15th. Remember, he's locked in with the win at Auto Club, so you won't have to worry about anything this week. But at least for now, we're about to go green, and probably our final segment of the race. It's been a caution-filled evening. We're hoping to get some green flag runs in and hopefully bring the rest of the coverage all the way to the checkered flag. Blaze McKinney and Sartaj Maan, the first two to lead us back under green as they come off turn 4, and we are underway once again from Bristol. Also wanting to mention that Charlie Baier is not with us in the booth this evening, so it is just Kenneth Bueno up here, as right now Blaze McKinney shoots out to an early lead to conclude lap number 83 and to come over to lap number 84. The battle persists for second. Sartaj holding strong to the outside and slipping past Andy McDowell for the third spot. Now Aiden Murray will look to the bottom of the track and try to find some sort of grip, and this is another thing, Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the toughest tracks on the iRacing platform, obviously one of the more famous venues in NASCAR history, and the fastest half mile. Some call it the Thunder Valley, the last great Coliseum. As we got another yellow on the track, Parker White almost around and trying to save the race car. Indeed he does. However, we do have a crash into the back of the field, and it is playoff driver Nick Miller involved this time on a yellow, lap number 85. It seems as though he might have decided it was over for him. He tows it immediately to the pit lane, and he might be out of this race for good. We'll try to take a replay and see exactly where this began, whether he had any help or whether he had just lost it all by himself. And we'll see just at the top of the racetrack, and you're looking at the replay just now. This is fighting for position with the 7, and just, I believe, contact initially there with Josh Duke sends him around, and then up into the outside wall he goes, collecting Brody Garner in it. You see him there already loose from some of that contact that he had, trying to split the middles. You're riding on board. Oh, and there it is, just sending it around, trying to save the car on the banking, and then getting up into Josh Duke certainly did not help. At least for now, we're under another yellow flag this evening, and Nick Miller seems to be out of this race. But the lucky thing for him is that he is locked into the playoffs. That win last week at Auto Club, barely over Parker White with a nose out front, and his Chevrolet Camaro brought him the victory And is he still running for a title at Homestead next week? But it's all about what's going to happen between the other handful of drivers that are trying to edge their way in, Blaze McKinney being one of them. And one thing we talked about Blaze McKinney as a playoff driver, we talked about his dominance last season and how much he was able to gain over the rest of the field in terms of points gaps and all the wins that he accrued over that season, and basically did have sort of an easier route to the playoffs and to the championship four. Did have to fight a little bit, did have to crawl his way, get some wins, lock himself in, but for the most part, the driver of the 87 made his way nicely into the playoffs in dominant fashion and then took home the title for season number 2. But so far in these playoffs, season number 3, it's been a painfully different season for that 87. Not necessarily the wins to his belt, maybe like he wanted, had a lot more wins in season 2 to compare, and now he is in sort of a tight, cramped space with Aiden Kirker tied for 3rd in points and right now leading this race, and he wants to win to ensure that he can get to the championship 4 without having to worry about some of the drivers getting points behind him. See a couple of drivers down pit road, and actually just a lot of them. You see the 77 of Vince Isabella, the 20 of Shane DiMantova without a front clip on his Toyota Camry. Riley Marabello, Josh Duke, Mason Thompson out of pit road. Francisco Bacallao off of pit road. Now they will make their way out, albeit a lot of them with heavily damaged race cars, and we are trying to file ourselves double wide again. Try and go for another restart here, which should be lap number 91, if we get the 1 to green signal this time by the iRacing official pace truck. But happy to have you join us nonetheless. Unfortunate with all the issues that we've had. We wanted to start our coverage at least before the green flag flew to start this race. However, there's been chaos, and we've certainly found out those difficulties and got it solved. So we'll be okay for the time being, and we'll be able to bring you all the way to the checkered flag. Is now 1 to green lined up on the pace truck once again. Blaze McKinney going to elect the bottom on the first row. Lap number 90, which should give us about 35 laps to the end of this event. We'll try to see exactly who gets into the championship 4 at Homestead, Miami next week. Sartaj Mon still without that front clip, albeit that damage not hampering him too much. Able to get a lot of the good runs. It has been easy to keep second so far as the pace truck will move to the left. Blaze McKinney will go for an early start, and we're back under green as McKinney with an earlier start. Not much of a jump as last time compared to what he got the last time around, but now it'll be an even harder fight for second. Mcdowell loose up the track, trying to find his way under the 49 of Sartaj Mon, and here comes the 1 of Benjamin Fanning now to the inside, almost clipping the 49 just a little bit, and having to trail his way back up the track, and Parker White is there to follow with Glenn. Bundren has contact. McDowell hard into the outside or inside wall. And we are under caution again. McDowell went sailing into the barrier on the inside wall. Will now bring us under another yellow again so far in this race. We'll try to get a replay. We'll exactly see what happened, but it was contact with Sartaj Mon to lead this one off. Take a look at it as you were riding there up atop. You see 98 and Andy McDowell getting loose to the bottom of the racetrack, but no harm, no foul. Keeps it straight, tries to slide back up the track, and you see the 49 just getting that run. I think right there made contact and then got the car unsettled and then just went head on to the inside wall. And a big hit, and it might just send him out of this race for good as you see him all the way to the bottom of the track. Here's where he gets loose, and then the next time around on the other end of the racetrack, gets into contact with the 49. It was just holding strong to the top. And then right there, not much space to maneuver around. And then McDowell goes straight into the barrier. And luckily, not many drivers collected in this one. We are under another yellow once again on lap number 94. Handful of drivers going down pit road already. The drivers getting their service. Hasn't really been a fuel race or necessarily a strategy race per se in terms of the tires. A lot of the drivers have been good on that and have been able to pit it with ample time, considering the fact that we have, or at least we've had, a lot of cautions to account for it. So now we're about 30 laps out. Remember, Bristol is very short, going around this track at about 14, 15 seconds, maybe even 16 if you count a long green flag run with the tire fall off. But it is very quick to go around the Bristol Motor Speedway, and you easily can blink of an eye. You already complete a lap here, so 30 laps isn't necessarily a large amount of time if you're anyone in this field. And remember, talking about Glenn Bundren, we probably had enough time to build up the storyline with Glenn Bundren, but he is 21 points out of this right now going into this race, and he desperately needs either a very good run with everybody else struggling, or he needs a win. And that's exactly what Glenn Bundren is aiming for right now. Had a shot to win Auto Club last week, and then on the final restart, got collected with Cole Williams. They both touched going to the green flag, and they both got sent to the bottom of the track, and he hit the inside wall, and that was pretty much game over for him. And now Glenn has been put with his back against the wall here at the last Great Coliseum, and now has a one lasting hope to get into the championship for at Homestead Miami Speedway. Remember, last year, it was Blaze McKinney, Parker White, Nick Miller, and Glenn Bundren to occupy the championship 4, and we are slowly looking to have 3 of the 4 championship 4 edge themselves back in. We're having a good shot to have a repeat of what we saw last season. You see a handful of drivers shuffle out of place, so it seems Glenn Bundren could take over, or at least not for second now. I think they're choosing at the moment, so it seems as though Glenn Bundren would choose the outside here on this next restart, right next to Blaze McKinney, using some of that choose cone rule I believe they're using for tonight's event. So this could be the final stretch of this race. And we'll try to see exactly what happens, as unfortunately Charlie Baier not here with us, taking some time off. So obviously we wish our best to him. We miss him up here in the booth for the Bundren Lawn Care Series. Hopefully to have him back when we reach the South Beach in just 1 week time. Pace truck down to the left to pit road. McKinney will lead them back to the green flag, and an even start now with Glenn Bundren, who used the outside possibly to his advantage, but for now he'll stay stuck to the outside and to second place. Cole Williams uses the bottom groove, and now he'll use it again to the inside of Glenn Bundren, trying to make the slide work, and it won't work just now. You see Parker White now looming into the horizon. Bundren now to the inside as McKinney defends, and that may not give enough space. Cole Williams now to the outside, swerving back to the inside. Remember, Cole out of this picture, 6 points out. These guys are doing all they can to try and nab themselves a shot at Homestead Miami Speedway in 1 week, 25 laps to go from Bristol Motor Speedway. They're side by side for second. And so far, not left to give for Glenn Bundren, still using the banking and the exit to his advantage. Cole still holding strong to the inside, may have a clear to turn 3, but for now, he'll take over second, so move Cole Williams to the second spot. Now having to hunt down the 87 to Blaze McKinney. Parker White also looming for position. He's down to the inside. 4 playoff drivers within this top 4 as there's a battle behind for P number 5. Benjamin Fanning and PJ Merrill added all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. They're also keeping themselves steady as Parker White still challenging to the bottom. And a win will get you in, will lock you into the next round. We saw it with Nick Miller, we saw it with Aiden Kirker. And right now, if you look for Aiden Kirker, he is 24th, barely got to the green flag. Tonight there's a crash behind the 7 of PJ Merrill round, and a yellow flag again with just 21 laps to go, and saw him get into contact as he was almost 3 wide. And again under a yellow flag. Yeah, we'll bring the drivers another chance to cool themselves and get around as we'll take the replay. We'll see what happened here, but was inevitably contact. Was inevitably contact with the drivers up at about here. As you see, he was battling with the one of Benjamin Fanning. There is Aiden Murray, JJ Hill also to come alongside. And then you see right here, I believe the 1 makes the crossover and then gets into the 7. You'll see the 7 try to slide up right in front of the 1 here, diving into the corner, and then the 1 goes straight for the crossover to the bottom. Oh, and I'm not sure whether the car upset itself or got contact there, but see him sliding up the track, and then all of a sudden, right about there, gets sent to the outside wall and goes aiming down, gets into Aiden Murray, sends his front clip off the race car, gets into JJ Hill as well. You see Francisco drifting to the left. To get away from that, we'll take a look at the cockpit. Here it was as he was slowing right down. And actually just wheel hopped and the car got loose, but was able to keep it straight. Unluckily there, but he'll be one of the many drivers to go down pit road, including what looks to be the race leader, using single pit lane at Bristol instead of double pit road. So the drivers will have to enter around turn 2, and then now they reach back around to their pit stalls right here on the front straightaway. So here will be the battle off pit road. McKinney will lead them down. Bundren next in. Parker White, the next one also to follow. As now they'll make their stint. Cole Williams is currently sitting on 20-lap old tires. So for now, he will stay out for the time being, maybe just believing that his car will be much better in the longer run. McKinney will lead them out of pit road. Bundren will follow suit along with Parker White. Aiden Murray will be next. And Mason Thompson may be the next one out. However, there are a lot of drivers aiming to get damage fixed on pit road, and they could easily go one lap down. It has not been a clean evening here, the last great Coliseum, for any of the drivers tonight. So we'll see exactly what happens. Still under yellow for the first time in this run. We've had a lot of yellows to go over as we'll look at our race summary presented by Supermix. We've completed 107 laps, 18 laps remaining. We've had 8 lead changes and we've had 10 cautions, it seems, for about 43 laps. We've had a lot of yellows to bring out here from Bristol Motor Speedway. It's been a chaotic evening. And we kind of saw this last year, or last season rather. Saw a lot of drivers getting into contact, lots of wrecks, especially near the end, which led us to a green-white checker, and we might end up falling down the same path here if we continue on our way with the amount of yellows that we've had so far. And a lot of drivers not with clean race cars. That's another thing about Bristol Motor Speedway. A lot of the short tracks, if you're able to survive without damage on your race car, you could be considered a hero. A lot of them really scathed. A lot of them with significant damage, although not necessarily affecting their speed. You could look at Vincent Isabella, no rear clip on his Chevrolet Camaro. A lot more damage to the right and left sides, but he's still in contention. He's still running fairly well within the top 10, and now he will start at the inside of row 2. But the big question will be, everybody on fresh tires didn't necessarily lose all that track position. Blaze McKinney will restart in 3rd as we'll get the green flag once again, this time by on lap 110 with about 15 laps to go. Pace truck to the left of pit road. Cole Williams and Benjamin Fanning leading us back under green from the last great Coliseum. Well, and another easy start for the leader. Cole Williams out in front. Benjamin Fanning letting everyone by. And this is the big battle. Fresh tires versus old tires. When do you take advantage? Now they're starting to gain all that time. Parker White was able to scrapple for the 2nd position, or at least what might be net P2 if they're able to get around Cole Williams. Bundren will have to suffer for 4th, defending Shaney Mantova to the bottom of the track. But for now, Cole Williams still holding strong, 25-lap old tires, and he is now leading that charge of the final segment of this race. And if Cole Williams can win here tonight, remember, he's had that short track prowess before. On the 1.5 milers, he's also been stellar with the tire-saving maneuvers. And here on the short track, got to win at a short track to lock himself into this round of 7 at the Dover International Speedway. The driver out of Washington still holding strong with McKinney nowhere in sight for now. He's starting to put the pressure just a little bit, but it's been fairly tough with the amount of rubber we've seen laid out on the racetrack. You see him not necessarily gaining a lot of time on Williams as he's able to hold on to that grip. And so far, it's been stellar for Williams as he holds on to 1st, and a train behind him, Parker White, aiming to just nudge some good points in and effectively point his way in, certainly to the championship 4. And the battle for 4th has simmered down. Bundren now aiming to chase these 2, as Di Mantova currently holds top 5, and this will be a crucial battle to the end of this race to find out who will get in. Now they're starting to close in the final laps of this race. What seems to be 9 laps to go from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Now they're starting to claw their way in, but can Cole Williams defend as much as he can and lock himself with a championship berth at Homestead Miami Speedway next week? Now they're starting to claw in as a 2 and a train leading them by. And it hasn't been easy, as now we'll see if the 87 looks to the bottom to try and take away position over this long run with just a handful of laps to go. As here comes the 87, diving to the bottom. Here he comes, right to the inside. He'll dive it back into the corner. Williams barely into the wall, but they'll stay side by side right to the door, as Williams will get the run off of the corner in the final 6 laps of this race. And it has become tough. 3 playoff drivers 5 playoff drivers, all of them occupying the top 5. 6 laps to go. 5 laps to go now from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Williams still defending up top. And no eager way to get by. It won't be easy for Blaze McKinney. He'll try once more to arc it down to the corner and try to get all of that grip in. Now having a shot to the inside, sliding up the track. Williams able still to defend, but can Parker White also get through? Remember, he's in that 3rd spot. If these two get into each other, White can easily sail by. He's won here at Bristol before, and he can do it again. 3 laps to go from Bristol. Back into the banking. McKinney again, another shot at the inside, but the outside proving so worthy on the longer runs. And it is about 20 lap fresher tires for both McKinney and Parker White and everybody else in the top 5, apart from Williams. But for now, Williams able to hold on down the back straightaway, just a little bit squirrely, but able to recover back. McKinney back to the inside, door to door to the white flag here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And McKinney sailing it down at turn 1. Will the crossover happen? McKinney a little bit loose. Final time in a 3 and 4. McKinney up the racetrack again, and he'll defend for the time being. A crossover back to the inside. 3 wide to the finish, but it'll be Blaze McKinney to the checkered flag, locking himself into the Championship 4 at Homestead Miami Speedway. An unbelievable run to the finish, as Williams just 82 1/1000ths of a second behind. And now he'll celebrate a little bit of contact with Aiden Murray, but nonetheless, burning it down. Unbelievable finish. As we'll look at how that unfolded in the final laps of this race. Take a look, as here it was coming to the start-finish line. Right there to the end, as they were all battling tough. And McKinney making that power move to the inside and making the slide job, going around the inside, sliding up the track. Here was Williams with another shot. McKinney had to send it once more. Cleared himself for them, but then look at the crossover here by both Williams and Parker White. Well, it looked like the finale of the Cars movie where they were all 3 together at the start-finish line. And even funnier that that was based off this track in real life, as McKinney burns it down. Bundren is 2nd. And what is going to be a wild talk to the finish to see exactly who is locked into the Championship 4 from Bristol, as McKinney will burn it down as he wins again in this season. Had a couple wins to come forth. His win at Phoenix. What has been a hard-fought season for McKinney this season. He's now able to drift it out, knowing he'll be fighting for a title and a title defense again in Season 3. We'll take a look at your official full field rundown and see exactly where every driver finished at the end of 125 laps. Blaze McKinney locking himself certainly to the Championship 4 on a title defense run. A winner here at Bristol for the 2nd time in a row. Won here last season to do just that, and he'll do it again tonight. Cole Williams 2nd at the start-finish line, with Parker White right under him for 3rd. We'll try to see what the situation lies with Cole Williams and whether he has pointed his way. And I believe with what Aiden Kirker has dealt with tonight and what the struggles has been with him, I believe we might have to call Cole Williams as a member of the Championship 4. Glenn Bundren, 21 points out, will finish in the top 5, and we'll see if that is enough to get into the final transfer spot. Aiden Murray will lock out the top 5. Shani Mantoba will finish 6th. 7th will go to Francisco Bacchiao in the 30 machine. JJ Hill rounding out 4 seconds back in 8th place. Vincent Isabella, his first start in the series, will result in 9th. And Riley Marabello will round out your top 10. Mason Thompson going to finish at the checkered flag in 11th. Benjamin Fanning making his first start in a long time, returning to 12th. Josh Duke in the 32 will finish 13th, with PJ Merrill in the 7. A couple of wrecks at the end of this race will land him 14th. Sartaj Maan, damaged race car, but at the end will finish top 15. Andy McDowell, hard into the inside barrier not too long ago, will finish 16th. Nick Miller, 17th at the line, but he's locked in. No worries for him. Brady Wallerman will finish 18th. Peter Kenny will finish 19th. 68 laps down, Robert Kanako in the 064 will round out your top 20. Final drivers in this field that I don't believe made laps. Colton Lights included Chase Rogers, Brody Garner, and playoff driver Aiden Kirker, which could spell the end of his championship hunt. But for now, we will sit near victory lane of the Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll take a short break and we'll come right back. We'll have our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC and have our interviews with the winner, our top 3, and the championship 4 now going in a homestead of Miami Speedway next week. Don't go anywhere. We've got more. You're watching the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series from the Last Great Coliseum.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the Bristol Motor Speedway, where we bring you our KBRN post-race coverage brought to you by SDC. And unfortunately, we couldn't get the majority of the opening part of this race in, but we got the final segment in, which was the most important, all the way to the checkered flag. And it was Blaze McKinney taking away another win this season to lock himself into the championship 4 and go for another title defense in a last lap dash, and a last handful of lap dash with Cole Williams and Parker White all the way to the finish. And as we are going down to the Bristol Motor Speedway, we'll take a look and we'll have a moment to speak with our race winner, Blaze McKinney in the 87, taking away another checkered flag in Season 3, and will be a part of the Championship 4 once again. Blaze, a hard-fought battle all the way to the end, and you started this race on pole, but had issues very early in this race, and you clawed your way all the way back near the end. You survived, and that last couple of lap dash, you beat Cole Williams and Parker White, and now you're certainly confirmed running for a title defense next week at Homestead Miami Speedway. Walk us through your emotions on how those final laps were and how this win feels.
That was crazy. That's probably one of the most fun battles I've had at Bristol in a long time. I mean, the fresh tires helped me and Parker there to get to Cole, but I mean, he was just as fast as us there at the end. I mean, he wasn't going to give it up easy, and I mean, I had to find some way around him. I knew like it wasn't going to be easy because the way this track model and the tire model is, you can't pass like on the inside very easily. So you gotta do something different. So I tried something different, and I got a good arc off the corner, got door with him, and then I just pulled a slide job, and it worked. So really happy about it. We were really fast in qualifying. I think a whole 10th faster than second. Then I thought it was tighter. It wasn't going to be as loose as it was, so I lost it on the first lap, went to the back, and just slowly clawed my way back to the front. And once we got to the front, we pretty much just stayed there. So really, really happy about this win.
And certainly this becomes your third win of the season, but this is probably the most important one because you not only defend the win from last season where you edged in another close battle with another car in Ezekiel Reyes, you hold off other competitive cars in this race to take a checkered flag, and now all the eyes are set for Homestead. And when you run for a championship defense and try to go 2 in a row, in terms of your position as a former champion and now running for a second one again, and being a part of the Championship 4, which is mostly the same as last season, how will your mindset change for Homestead now, or what's going to be the big key to be successful at Homestead and at a different track, hold your title defense and win 2 in a row?
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a lot more difficult. I got to prepare a little bit more because last season, I mean, even though I won, I probably wasn't the best car there. Parker probably was, but he got wrecked late in the race. And then, I mean, we were overall really bad at Phoenix last season, but it's at Homestead this year, so I like Homestead a little bit better than Phoenix. So it should be more fun, more exciting with the mile-and-a-half racing we have at Homestead. So yeah, I think we just got to practice a little bit more, get more prepared for it, and I think we'll be ready. I think it'll be a really fun battle.
And I think what also might come to your benefit is that last season when we visited Homestead Miami Speedway in the regular season, you were the one that took the checkered flag away. But Blaze, here in Victory Lane now in Bristol, going to Homestead next week, who do you got to thank? Any teams, sponsors, or anyone else you decide to give the love and shout-outs to for tonight's effort and so far what has been tonight's season?
Yeah, really appreciate Flying Arrows like Grace and everybody over there. I really appreciate them having me on the team. Another good win for them. Really happy to bring home the win for the team. Chris Lee Designs, of course, for being on the car every week, bringing out these great paint schemes. Rowdy Energy coming on board. And all my friends and family watching. I appreciate all you guys watching, especially my number one fan, Uncle Gil. I appreciate you watching, buddy. Again, yeah, just really, really fun race. I appreciate you putting on the broadcast. I know it was a little tough this week, but I mean, I appreciate you putting in the work and getting it working for us. It's really awesome that you do these broadcasts every week. And again, appreciate Glenn for putting the race on every week. So see you guys next week.
Certainly, we thank you for the support, and I know it was a little tough, but luckily we were able to get it in. But congratulations on your victory, your third victory, and now congratulations on entering the Championship 4 once again for the second straight season, or at least the third straight season in a row, if you count season 1 as well. So congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing you at undoubtedly my favorite track to run for a title next week.
Thank you.
That is Blaze McKinney, the winner and the Championship 4 driver, now locked in with Nick Miller in terms of the drivers who have won in the round of 7 to get in. And we're just going to wait on confirmation for the point standings and see which drivers had pointed their way in to the title contention in the Championship 4. It was within a handful of drivers, but we'll talk with the driver who finished in second, just behind at the line by 82 one-thousandths of a second, the 82 machine of Cole Williams, and we'll bring him right here from the booth, and we'll try to get his thoughts when we move forward, as we'll join him trackside. We'll try to get him in as soon as we can. And bringing Cole Williams now down pit road. Cole, this was quite possibly one of the more tensious events out of all of them because you were hiding 6 points behind the guys up in the top 4. And tonight, you certainly did not disappoint, running 16th at the start-finish line, or at least at the green flag, and you finished second at the start-finish line with a pretty much almost a guaranteed shot, considering how Aiden Kirker had been all the way in the back of the field, and you probably have a good shot to enter the Championship 4 this season. But walk us through this race, walk us through how you were feeling, and now how you feel ending this race now moving forward.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Start off, just a lot of wrecks and stuff. I think the iRacing cap was off by accident, and that caused a few people to get in. Obviously, not supposed to race, and I think that caused some problems at the start. And then once the field thinned out, people were just kind of memeing this race. So it took basically the last quarter or so to get some actual racing in, and it was a good, nice little green run to the end there. Obviously, we need to stay out. All I needed to do was just make sure at all costs that Shane or Glenn didn't win, obviously cleanly, but make sure that they didn't get the checkered flag, because in that case, I don't think there's any way we could have passed Blaze in points given how he ran. Obviously, he ended up winning. So that was the only thing we had to worry about at the end, and we had to race really hard to try to get in front of Glenn. I just want to make sure that we kind of can control where we finish compared to those guys. I know Shane had big damage, so he was pretty much out of it without a big wreck. So I just knew we can't wreck, and we got to try to control our own destiny from there. Obviously, people like Aiden wrecking out really early sealed the deal pretty much, because obviously P24, I knew once I would say 50 or once like 15 onwards. behind 15th was all retired from the race, I knew that would be enough points no matter what to advance and pass him for points. And then just from there, we were out there kind of for fun. And then towards the end of the race, I was realizing that, okay, well, I need to take this a little more, I need to drive a little bit harder and not save as much tire and just keep the car clean as well. But I need to not save as much tire, try to get in front of those guys because they cannot win, because I would have knocked me out there. So we were just doing that. And then obviously a nice little green under the M with some of the cleanest drivers out there. Of course, Blaze and Parker, some of the best drivers really on the sim that I've seen so far and race with. And obviously some great guys. And it's just something with me and Blaze at Bristol. Having good battles. So we had same kind of battle in the Red Line Cup Series. That the difference in that was a long 100-something green lap run to the end, or more like I think it was a long green run, and then we had a caution towards the end, and then it was a sprint. He won that too. So we're definitely some of the kings of Bristol, and just we couldn't qualify well. Hit the wall on the main lap, and it kind of hurt everything from there. And I was a little bit scared, but thankfully no one could break the first wreck, and then from there we're just surviving. So. Obviously a little bit of attrition, but I felt like either way we're going to finish up there regardless. So probably would have gave it a little bit harder, maybe even thrown some bumpers to get the win if, say, Aiden was able to stay in. He was battling, but we were in a must-win position. So crazy race, good to miss the wrecks, and got to bring home P2 and a fantastic finish.
Certainly a fantastic finish, and I know we don't necessarily have confirmation in terms of who exactly are the championship for, but considering, I think, the common knowledge and what really has transpired within the points and how tight the points are packed in, it should be you at least joining in, considering the fact that Aiden Kirker had pretty much gotten 0 points or minimum points from finishing all the way in the back in this race in 21st. So that point, or at least that sort of scenario, gives you a shot to sneak into the championship 4. And I believe it will be you with Parker White, Nick Miller, and Blaze McKinney, which, funny enough, those drivers you were pretty much battling with, you and Blaze McKinney and Parker White there to the end. Now the mindset on the Homestead for a title, which you won the season finale last season, but it was over on the west side, not in South Beach. What are you going to be using to try and capture your first Bundren Lawn Care Series title next week?
Gonna be practicing a lot, man. Definitely gonna be doing some hosted stuff like that. Practicing with my AMR boys, and obviously everyone just work hard. Qualifying's gonna be where you finish pretty much there. Obviously I expect the iRacing Cap to be back on, and obviously the final race of the season we'll get a few more. So I expect maybe 15, maybe closer to 20 car field. And just what much more room to race there. So I would expect a long green run's a very easy track to race compared to at least the Bristol Motor Speedway. So. I would say qualifying is going to have to be the entire emphasis because dirty air just comes in too much of effect. And then from there, we need to plan a good strategy just to make sure we keep that lead and try to stay in the clean air as much as possible. You're not really going to see how Homestead usually races like it did in real life just yesterday. Cars running up against the wall, up top seam, hooking the bottom line. You're going to see right around the middle, maybe the top seam at some point to make passes for cars on older tires. But it's just going to be a lot of qualifying. It's going to be what we're going to focus on. And then from there, we're just going to push hard, execute. We did that pretty much all of last season. We got a little bit of luck with the pit stop towards the end, and then, of course, contact behind us. And then we had about a 20-lap green flag run, just about how this race ended with Blaze and Parker trying to chase me down. We were able to hold on in that one, so that helped. And I think just Homestead, good track. I know people like Parker are really good there. I've seen him run a lot official today. He was whooping some really good drivers. So we're going to have to watch out for him, of course, as always. Every single race you come to. And those kind of guys. Obviously, they're not really going to have as many people that are driving hazardous this time. The people that were in the 1Ks or whatever. I know people like Benjamin Fanny and Josh Duke were out there racing pretty clean. But some others were definitely not as fortunate, or in this case, smart enough to race. And then I know there was numerous things of just racing incidents too. So we're just gonna have to qualify well from there, and then just be on the right strategy and hope we get green runs. Obviously, a really long race in the championship for this season, so it'll be a great time racing some of the best on the sim, and hopefully I can make them eat up the dirty air and take them to the championship.
Well, certainly the experience might come to factor. You and Parker White were tail or nose to tail, or at least head to head right at the end in the Elderberg C race for the championship. And I know Homestead has changed this a little bit. These cars have changed this a little bit, but nonetheless, a lot of the experience might come into factor. Cole, we certainly thank you for joining us. But before we let you go, I know there's a lot of people that make it happen for you on the sim. So who are those people? Any teams, sponsors, or anyone else that you'd like to thank for tonight's run?
First of all, thank you for sticking it out, putting the broadcast on. Really appreciate everything you do. Of course, we just want to bring home a good finish. So shout out to you. Of course, for doing everything on the broadcast, helping the league out and everything like that. Thanks to Meter Racing and all those guys back there, including you. Um, Francisco was able to have a pretty good run today, just surviving. And shout out to him for coming from 21st to 7th, one of the hard charges of the race, and he put in a lot of work. And his hard work's been paying off. So shout out to him. Shout out to Riley, of course, for sticking it out. I know he had some misfortune there with, I think he was missing the front end stuff, but he was able to stick out a top 10, so that's great for him. Thanks to Appel Gaming, Z's Custom Diecast. I think we might get a diecast of this car made in the near future. That would be awesome. So shout out to him again for everything Z's does, and then of course Stealth Energy coming on this car. So shout out to Shane for making my car. I know he wasn't able to quite get in. I know he's basically in a must-win position. I know from the start he had a pretty big damage. So shout out to him for bringing home P6 and making this beautiful car. And just once again, shout out to you guys, or shout out to you and everyone who can make it happen down at the KBRN studios. Shout out to Charlie Baier, of course, not coming here tonight, but wish you the best, man, and same for you. And just shout out to Glenn and everyone on the admin team for making it happen. We'll see what we can do at Homestead.
Well, Cole, your support is merely appreciated from us, KBueno Racing Network, and of course, now our thoughts will shift to you and wishing you the best of luck as you run for a title next week at Homestead in the Championship 4 for the first time in your Bundren Lawn Care Series career. That must feel very special. I know you're probably going to make it very special as well over at Homestead. Contending for a title is going to be a lot of fun. So we certainly thank you for taking the time to join us, and we wish you the best of luck now, and wish you luck on your Championship 4 run coming to Homestead.
Thank you so much, man.
That is Cole Williams, a driver who finishes second, but should point his way in to the Championship 4. And we'll look over to the final driver on the podium, Parker White, who finished right 3 wide with the other 2 drivers that we just interviewed right to the start-finish line. But he will capture third, and most likely with the points gap he held going into tonight, he will surely be a driver to fight for the title at Homestead Miami Speedway coming to next week. And now joining Parker White, the driver of the 95, third at the start-finish line, and started just where you finished in third, but nonetheless had 2,040 or about 2,046 points going into tonight, with Nick Miller locking himself in. Those 3 final spots, obviously fighting hard for it, but you had probably the best advantage in the point standings out of them all, and a decent finish should lock you into the Championship 4. However, tonight here, what was the motive for executing here and just making sure you were going to be part of that Championship 4?
Yeah, I think if we led a lap there in the beginning, which we did because Blaze spun out off a 2 there. So I think just leading a lap got us locked in. And I heard someone say over the race radio that I was already locked in. So once I knew I was locked in, I honestly just tried to have fun with the race. Like I knew I didn't have to lead every lap and win the race. So I just went down pit road like when I really didn't have to go to the back because I knew it was just going to be a caution fest. And if I was just out front, it probably wouldn't have been as fun as I had. So I just I stayed up front, I think, all the time. And the entire race, I don't think I really ever fell out of the top 10. So that really helped. And there was some really great racing back there from earlier around like the 5th place area. So that was a lot of fun back there. But yeah, really going into tonight, like I knew I was going to be pretty much locked in, unless if like worst case scenario, I would have had something happen, like even before the race started, like an internet issue or something, or I got wrecked out on lap 1 and I finished dead last or something like that. But fortunately that didn't happen for us tonight. So I was able to have fun with the race, and just as I kept cycling through with my pit stops and stuff, that put me on one of the freshest tires at the end. Like Blaze and I started, I'm not really quite sure where we started, but I don't think it was really quite up front, but we kind of had a green run there to the end, and Cole was still out there on old tires, so I knew if Blaze and I could just keep the momentum up, that we'd eventually catch Cole up there. And I wasn't really trying to pass Blaze there, because I knew that he would eventually get up to Cole, and I thought he'd have the speed to pass him. So I wasn't really going to try to make any moves because, like I said, I was just going to try to have fun with it. And like there was a couple of opportunities when Blaze would try to go to the bottom of Cole with like maybe around 3 or 2 to go. And I was thinking about putting my nose up top and getting around Blaze, because that would have put me in position to do like a slide job or something on the last lap, like in 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. But I just chose to ride behind Blaze because I knew that he'd probably do the same thing, which he did end up doing, and he got the lead there, I think, on the last lap. And then I was just going to try to ride behind Cole until we got to turn 3, until to see if he was going to make a charge at the lead for Blaze. I think he made a little bit of a charge, and then I cut down under him coming off of 4 just to see if I might be able to get second there. But yeah, I hope that was a pretty good show for you guys out there watching the broadcast, because I had a lot of fun there with like the 3-wide finish and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely a fun race tonight, and yeah, it was really fun.
Well, I don't think you get any better than 3 wide at the start-finish line, but nonetheless, the big thing lies now at the head of your, or right at your feet here, a championship contender last season, and now again a championship contender this season, but with a different track at stake, Homestead Miami Speedway. What are you going to do in order to ensure that you will not only perform well, but that you will be a Bundren Lawn Care Series champion in the Bundren machine when we cap off the checkered flag next week?
Well, the way that iRacing works nowadays, the V7 tire model, and like with the new dirty air that iRacing just put back into the sim, is basically whoever's going to qualify on pole is basically, if they don't really mess up, they're going to win the race. So I think that's going to be key, is just track position. Like that's going to be very, very, very important, because like I didn't run any A-Fix or like NIS races this week at Homestead just because I knew the race was going to be so bad. So I just didn't run. Probably should have ran a few just to maybe get ready for next week, but I just didn't really touch it because I knew it wasn't going to be a good time. So I'm probably going to practice a lot of qualifying runs just to try to get us that track position on the start. And I'm sure that like everyone else is going to try the same thing, because just clean air is going to be so important. Like just to have the lead and track position, like like I said, whoever's going to get the lead there off the start is just going to have such a big advantage, because whoever's in second there is going to be in the dirty air of the lead car, and it's going to take that front downforce right off the front of the car, and you won't be able to turn. And then with no multi-groove racing with this V7 tire, it'll make it almost impossible to get up there and pass unless you're on like 10 or so lap newer tires. So yeah, that's one thing I'm going to look for is qualifying, because the cars are so easy to drive that in the race basically anyone could hop on here and win the race. So that'll be key, and I'll definitely be practicing that. So we'll see what happens when we get to Homestead next week.
Our battle for Homestead surely set up now for next Monday night. But before we let you go here from the last great Coliseum in this race to the checkered flag, who do you got to thank? Any sponsors, any teams, or anybody else that makes it happen for you on the sim each and every week?
Got to thank my team, Merrill Motorsports, for getting me the car here tonight, and my teammates, Aiden Murray and PJ Merrill, for coming out here tonight, because I had a lot of fun racing with them. And I've got to thank Bundren Lawn Care and Dealer Media for being on the car. And of course, I've got to thank you guys up here at KBRN for all the awesome broadcasts every week.
Well, Parker, we certainly appreciate it. And of course, now we just wish you luck on your Championship 4 bid, and hopefully to see you competing for the title squarely at Homestead Miami Speedway. We congratulate you on your 3rd place finish here tonight. And now we'll just have to see what happens in South Beach next week. Congratulations, and we wish you the best of luck.
All right. Thank you, Ken.
That is Parker White, 3rd place finisher, and sure to be a Championship 4 contender. That'll cap off the top 3 interviews, and all 3 of them making their way to the Championship 4 next weekend will compete for a Season 3 iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series title. It is confirmed in the point standings. It will be Nick Miller locking himself from Auto Club, Blaze McKinney 2nd, locking himself in right here at Bristol, and then Cole Williams and Parker White, both of them make it in through points, and now they all 4 will compete for a title next week. No more points in the cards. It'll just be if you are the first one to the start-finish line out of all the other championship drivers, you are a Season 3 Bundren Lawn Care Series champion. And that coverage will begin at 8:20 p.m. Eastern next week, March 8th, 2021. We'll recap off Season 3 of the iRacing Bundren Lawn Care Series from Miami and the Homestead Miami Speedway for the final time to crown a Season 3 champion. And we'll have that coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Sure to have Charlie Baier back in the booth once we reach next week. We'll have all the coverage to bring you flag to flag all the way to the very end until we end up to Season 4. So for everybody at the Bundren Lawn Care Series, for Glenn Bundren, Blaze McKinney, Shani Mantova, and all the admins that make things happen and all the officials that make these races happen each and every week for this very series, and for all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Baier, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying good night from the last great Coliseum. We reach forward to Miami next week to crown Season 3 champion.